Alright everybody, how are you doing today? Let's finish up with one last economic story. Alrighty. Once again from Reason, Free Minds and Free Markets. Once again, Uncle Sam shirks fiscal responsibility in budget deal. Trump's 2018 commitment that he would never sign a massive spending deal ever again was fake news. This year, the deficit will end up being the fourth highest in U.S. history. It's gigantic, and it will hit a little over $1 trillion by the end of the fiscal year. It's also larger than previously projected, and it's growing fast, at a time when the United States is not in a recession, unlike the economies that delivered the three previous highest deficits. These are all facts that should help members of Congress and the administration recognize that it's probably time to reduce spending, but they fail to make that realization. Oh, indeed, this deficit is gigantic. It's massive. One might even say it's huge. White House and congressional negotiators reached accord on a 2-year budget on Monday. That deal would lift discretionary spending caps by $320 billion over the next 2 years. Just a reminder, Congress put these caps in place as the result of 2011 debt ceiling debate at the time. The debt had doubled since 2008, and annual deficits were above $1 trillion because of the recession and a silly, expensive stimulus bill. President Barack Obama was then in power, and Republicans in Congress were allegedly horrified by the level of red ink. As such, they were not going to agree to increase Uncle Sam's borrowing authority without some commitment to fiscal responsibility, hence the spending caps. That was then, this is now. If the last 8 years have proven anything, it's that nothing is more predictable than the spectacle of both parties making a deal to do away with the caps, at least temporarily. Now you can't blame the Democrats who never wanted the caps in the first place, and have no problem asking for ever more government spending. The same can be said about the Republicans, however, who staged a big show to get the caps in the first place and always liked to parade as the party of fiscal responsibility. Oh, indeed. The Republicans are always like that. They talk about it. They do a good deal of talking about reducing the spending, but when it comes to demanding that they reduce the spending where it counts, i.e. the military budget, they surprisingly don't deliver, and end up making all the same decisions the Democrats do. This isn't about the budget. This is about tribalism. So here we are today. This deal would lift the caps for 2 years. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, or CRFB, projected that it would add up to $1.7 trillion to the debt over the next decade in exchange for this extra spending, which House Democrats love, I am sure. The debt ceiling would be suspended for 2 years, which the administration and the Department of the Treasury in particular must love. Let me repeat that. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi would get through $320 billion above the FY 2019 levels of $597 billion for discretionary spending and $647 billion for defense, plus an additional $69 billion in the Pentagon's Overseas Contingency Operations Fund. While Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin would not have to worry about his ability to borrow more money from Uncle Sam. Meanwhile, future taxpayers would be saddled with the phenomenally large debt increase and the corresponding promise of higher taxes and slower growth. We are told not to worry, as some $55 billion of that spending increase would be offset with other savings, such as some Medicare cuts and customs and border protection fees. But when all is said and done, if you believe that these offsets will materialize, I have some oceanfront property in the Mojave Desert to sell you. The guy writing this article is quite the smart ass. I think I like him. Whatever Congress and the White House agree to cut this time around is likely to go the way of the 2011 spending caps and be negotiated away in future budget deals. When this budget deal was announced, CRFB President Maya McGuinness rightfully noted that this agreement is a total abdication of fiscal responsibility by Congress and the President. It may end up being the worst budget agreement in our nation's history, proposed at a time when our fiscal conditions are already precarious. She added that if this deal passes, President Trump will have increased discretionary spending by as much as 22% over his first term and enshrined trillion-dollar deficits into law. They just want to spend, and they think cutting it in places where the amount of spending is not as significant is somehow going to compensate. Bullshit. These Republicans are idiots. And sorry again for using the language. Apparently I can't. I need to behave myself better or I'm going to get deranked. In the process, President Donald Trump undermined his budget director, Mick Mulvaney, who argued for the implementation of a one-year overall spending freeze instead of the spending frenzy. I guess Trump's 2018 commitment that he would never sign a massive spending deal ever again was fake news. It was the fakest of fake news. It was faker than fake. Hell, I would sooner believe that there were mushroom men living on the moon than to think that the Republicans could ever stop spending all this freaking money. Cut it out already. Or pretty soon we're all going to end up being Chinese slaves. Or dead. Personally, I'd take the second one. The latter sounds better than the former, that's for damn sure. So yeah, Trump lied, he flip-flopped. Go figure. People were saying, oh, he's not a flip-flopper, and the left was like, yeah, he's a flip-flopper. Unfortunately, the left got this one right. He is a flip-flopper. He didn't collude with Russia. That turned out to be fake. Go figure. I mean, conspiracy theories are not just for the right wing. They're for the left, too. But ultimately, here you go. More reason why our government is just full of corrupt morons who are going to get us all killed. Anyway.